Let's move on and get into something else. Since 2008, World Sickle Cell Awareness Day, I beg your pardon, has been held annually in order to help increase public knowledge and raise awareness of sickle cell disease and the struggle sufferers and their families, what they have to deal with. In this special report, News Central's Bernard Akede takes us into the life of a sickle cell survivor who is one of those changing the narrative and urging others to create more awareness.
At almost 40 years of age, Ejiro is married and a mother of 2. She also is a news producer at a TV station, but most significantly, she is a sickle cell survivor.
Living with the consciousness of the condition is like elevating it, taking it above you. So, and you live with it, you live in fear. So growing up with sickle cell, I sweep the full parlor. I wash toilet, I wash the bathroom, gas cooker, I wash plates.
By merely looking at her, it is impossible to tell, as she is one of those who do not have the obvious features. But make no mistake, she still has her challenging days.
So, you know, when you have the crisis and you're in tough pain, you're in serious pain, you're crying, you're looking for how to stand up, you want to go to, you can't stretch your legs sometimes when there's a crisis on your legs and all of that. So, and in the course of sweeping, sometimes I'll have a crisis. And this was the time where, I'm talking about 1990s now, you are having a crisis, you are actually in the house. And no, I'm not going to the hospital, as long as it's just bone pain, even if it's malaria, daddy is going to give you the malaria drugs in the house then. So it was hellish with crisis.
Sickle cell disease is common throughout much of sub-Saharan Africa, affecting up to 3% of births in some parts of the continent. Nevertheless, it remains a low priority in many health ministries.
So sickle cell is an inherited blood disorder, and by inherited I mean you cannot have it. Your parents had traits of this condition, and it takes both parents to have the sickle cell gene to transmit it to their offspring. So a mother with has a hemoglobin S and a father who has hemoglobin S, and it can be in any form. They can either be AS, they can be SS, or they can be SC, and they donate the S gene to the offspring. The child now has both hemoglobin SS and now has sickle cell disease. SS and SC are both spectrums of sickle cell disease. They are both abnormal hemoglobin genes. Just that patients who have SC have fewer clinical symptoms than those who have full-blown hemoglobin SS. They are both sickle cell disease, but they are in a spectrum.
With the help of several advocacy groups, sickle cell patients in Nigeria and some parts of Africa can now gain access to the required medication, information, and support, which could help them live normal lives for as long as possible.
Okay, something as flimsy as saying people living with sickle cell do not live well past a certain age bracket. It's very funny because the founder of this organization is going to be 57 in September, and one of our oldest beneficiaries is 62. We once had a very strong advocate who died at almost 90. Information is readily accessible now. It can be from Googling what is sickle cell to what are the complications faced by people living with sickle cell. Another way could be talking with organizations such as ours, which are patient-based organizations that cater to the needs of people living with sickle cell.
The 19th of June every year has been set aside for the creation of awareness concerning sickle cell disease, and if this disease is to be properly managed, we all have a major role to play so that, like Ejiro, many more sickle cell patients can have access to long, healthy, and happy lives. Bernard Akede, News Central, Lagos.
A brilliant report there by Bernard Akede, and that's News Central's Ejiro. Now, still talking about sickle cell awareness, research has shown that one of the challenges in the fight against sickle cell is ignorance and lack of adequate information. Africa is a global epicenter of sickle cell disease as it has the highest prevalence rates, with 20 to 30% in countries such as Nigeria, Cameroon, Republic of Congo, Gabon, and Ghana. The problems occurring as a result of living with sickle cell disease can severely interfere with education, work, psychosocial development, and basic survival.
And this morning, we get a first-hand insight into the practicality of what it means to live with sickle cell disease. And let's joining us this morning to delve further into the conversation is a digital entrepreneur, influencer, and a sickle cell advocate, Precious Gaza. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, Precious.
Hi. Hi, good morning.
We hear you had
Good to be here.
a slight crisis situation yesterday. How are you feeling this morning?
Yes, I did. I'm a lot better today. As you can see, I'm still in the hospital, but I'm a lot better. Thank you for asking.
Okay, good to see you. We're also joined by content creator, influencer, and sickle cell advocate, Imabong-Abasi Ajayi Ibukun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Looking really colorful this morning also.
Yeah, trying to look like not the regular stereotype of sickle cell patients or people.
And I'm really glad that you've talked about stereotype. Both of you have used your platforms to extensively talk about some of these stereotypes, and I'd like you to address them, starting with you, Imabong. What are some of the stereotypes that you think we should break about sickle cell disease, ones that irk you the most? Imabong?
Stress me out the most.
Yes. All right, it doesn't seem like we are able to connect with Imabong, but let's speak with you, Precious. Precious, you had a crisis situation yesterday. As a matter of fact, you're talking to us right from the hospital. Thank you very much for still going ahead to do. I mean, I tried to dissuade you, but you were so bent on doing this because you are indeed a warrior.
Yes.
Lead us through what a crisis situation feels like. How did this one happen?
This one was unexpected. Most crises actually are unexpected. I was literally at home just chilling with my friend. We had just finished watching a movie, we got food, and in the middle of me eating my food, the pain just came full force. My back, my hands, my legs all cramped up, and I couldn't stand or walk. So we had to call a car, and I was carried downstairs into the car and to the hospital. So that's like a typical crisis situation. The pain was so severe, I couldn't even stretch my legs. It was really bad, but I'm thankful I'm better right now.
All right, tell us about, what it's been like in the last few decades. Has this stopped you from growth career-wise or in any other way? Has it stopped you from being able to really, take off with life?
Yeah, I would say it's been limiting to some extent, because I remember growing up in secondary school, I would write most of my tests and my exams from the school clinic because stress is a major crisis. So the stress that comes down from studying and trying to catch up academically would cause me to have a crisis. And so that's secondary school. University, which is more severe, has been like that as well. Now, talking career-wise, I've lost a few job opportunities because of my health condition. So I've had to have a career path for myself that will enable me to work at my own pace. So I'm a digital entrepreneur. I work for myself. The times where I've tried to work in a 9-to-5 proper corporate setting hasn't really been favorable to me, because you have to spend time, you have to be on your feet, you have to show that you
It does seem that we're having challenges with the internet this morning, but we hope to be able to connect with Precious and Imabong this morning. But okay, yes, we have them now, thankfully. Imabong, do we have you now? Precious, do we have you as well? Okay, we will come back to have these conversations, but I think that this conversation is very important, Osalge, because we're in 2022 and there are still some difficult conversations that we need to have. Conversations such as genotype, how expensive it is to get stem cell therapy. We don't know if that's, is even prevalent in Nigeria. Okay, let's speak with Precious. We have Precious. Precious, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Please go on.
Apologies for the network. Yes.
No, it's okay.
Like I was saying, I haven't really been able to function in the 9-to-5 corporate setting because, you have deliverables at certain times. You have to be at work. You have to work 8 hours a day. personally, I can't work for up to 8 hours a day. It's just physically impossible because we deal with fatigue. So I've had to carve out a unique career path for myself that will enable me to still work, earn money, and still take care of myself. So I've tried to get into the corporate setting a few times, but I just wouldn't last because it's just not realistic for someone living with sickle cell.
All
And
right.
there aren't
Okay.
flexible work provisions for that yet. So these are some of the things that we have to cope with.
Let's talk about the way, trying to prevent this from happening as well as cure. There have been conversations about stem cell therapy, and I reckon that at a point, your friends did try to raise some funds for you to undergo stem cell therapy. How efficient is this, and is it available in Nigeria, Precious?
Well, I would say the stem cell therapy, people just say, oh, go for a bone marrow transplant, like it's 1 million or like it's 50,000. The cost of stem cell transplant is ranging from $200,000 and above. It is really expensive. So I am still even in the process of raising funds for my own, and I think it's available. Recently, a center had been launched in Luth in partnership with National Sickle Cell Center, but that's only restricted for the infants yet. I don't think anyone has been established for adults. The provisions available for adults are in more developed hospitals abroad in Turkey, in Europe, and USA. Those are the information I have about so far.
Okay, I think, let's also speak about, societal support, how much support, and encouragement and, anything in that sort do you get from people around you, from your workspace and from your family? Let's bring this with Imabong, if you can hear us clearly now.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
So when it comes to support, yes, my family, my close friends are really hands-on, basically. They support me as much as they can. They're always there to help. They're always there to rush me to the hospitals when I need to be at the hospital, sleep over with me at the hospitals, help me pick up my medication. But when it comes to the external society, it's a different case entirely because I feel like not a lot of people are educated on sickle cell, so they don't really know what to do when it comes to situations like that. I recently posted a video on my page talking about how family and friends, can support people with sickle cell, especially if they don't have a lot of information. And basically, it's about asking questions, how can I help you? What do you need from me? What triggers your crisis? What kind of pain medications do you take? What's the phone number to your doctor or to your hospital so I can always dial, and things like that. Because someone asked me a question saying she was having a crisis and she was lying in bed with a friend, and the friend didn't even budge, didn't even say anything, and she was crying and she was seriously in pain, but the friend didn't even bother to ask, how she could help, and she felt really bad. And sometimes it's not even about the pain, because when it comes to pain, sickle cell warriors are used to it. This is something that we've lived with for a very long time. But sometimes the trauma of having people around you that don't actually care about you, can be really disheartening and sad. So I feel like people in the society should kind of like find out more information about sickle cell. And I was talking about the workplace earlier before I got cut off. I've had situations where I had to go for job interviews and you pass the first stage and everything, but once they send you for medicals and they find out that you have sickle cell, it's a different story entirely. You start to hear things like, oh, you're smart, but we don't think you can handle this particular job and this and that. And just like Precious has said, we know our limits as warriors. So there are certain people who don't have as much crisis as others, and if those people, feel like they can handle a 9 to 5 job and they apply to a job in your company, then I see no reason why you should turn them away without at least giving them a try. The last corporate organization I worked at, a 9 to 5 organization, we had the same issue. It was one of the managers that stepped in and said, oh, she has someone who lives with sickle cell, who has been working a 9 to 5 job and is doing very well, and asked them to give me a chance, to see if I won't be able to meet up. And I worked there for a year. I don't plan to do a 9 to 5 job anyway. Just like Precious, I've carved, by the grace of God, I've been able to carve a niche for myself to, work as a content creator, working with brands and all of that. But it's not easy, when society is not willing to accept, give you opportunities and give you a chance. Even in my field currently as a content creator, there are still brands that will tell you they don't want to be associated with your message, and we all know that the message is subtle. So I feel like people need to be more open, they need to have more empathy, and they just need to learn more about sickle cell, ask questions from people around you.
Okay, very quickly, let's talk about the importance of blood donation. It was World Blood Donor Day a few days ago, and we celebrated that here on the show as well. How important is blood to a sickle cell warrior? Imabong, I'll direct that to you as well. Imabong? All right, let's get to you, Precious. How important? I mean, you're in the hospital now, and I'm certain that you've had several crisis situations.
Yeah, I think blood is really important. Okay. Yeah, blood is really important because I've had a number of blood transfusions. I can't even keep count. I've had to have 3 surgeries in my life due to a complication of sickle cell that I had called leg ulcer. So over the period of 9 years, I think I had close to maybe 30 blood transfusions because blood literally helps, the wound to heal. The flow of blood carries nutrients to wounds, especially. So I had to have a lot. And even when I had to have surgery, there had to be blood on standby. So it's very important that people donate blood because people spend a lot of money to buy and pay for blood, which is ridiculous. But I feel like if there are a lot more people donating, then the cost of blood transfusions will be less, and there'll be more blood available for people like me that need blood transfusions. And even with the recent happenings in Nigeria, you see that whenever there's a big issue or an accident or some kind of crisis, people are always calling for blood donations because it's very important that blood is available. Some other warriors have blood transfusions regularly, especially now with blood exchange, where you it's a kind of therapy where they take out the blood in your body and exchange it with fresh blood. And I know a number of warriors that do that maybe like every 3 months. And it's not 1 pint of blood, it's like 6 to 7 pints of blood that's used, for this kind of process, and operations. So blood transfusion is really important and blood donation is really key. I feel like we need to make it a culture in this part of the world to donate blood because whenever I traveled or the few times I've been privileged to travel out of the country, it's never been an issue, to get blood because people over there have been sensitized and they're used to, the idea of blood donation. Here, I guess because of our culture and everything, laid back when it comes to blood donation. And I feel like we should do blood drives more and educate the important needs to be available for people like who, because blood cell, to my understanding, I think lasts about 120 days, but a sickle cell lasts between 10 to 20 days. So that 10 to 20 days is the lifespan of a red blood cell.
All right. We might be losing the connection with Imabong there. Precious, if we still have you, let's quickly get you to chip in on the conversations concerning genotype. It's one of the things that we through secondary school and university days got to be taught. But if you don't get to live through the real conversation, it might be difficult to really understand it. So quickly share with us where that conversation is with you, and what what message you might also be sharing with others.
Well, my friends, everybody that knows me in any way is aware that even my friends around me, I always say, what is your genotype? Are you aware of your genotype? If you're getting into a relationship, the first thing you should talk about is your genotype. That's how passionate I am about it, because I feel like in as much as there are treatments available, there's the stem cell therapy, there's the gene thing they do of how you discover the genotype of your baby before you give birth. Those processes are very expensive, and not the average person can afford that. So I feel like the best way to prevent more sickle cell babies being born into the world is to just avoid procreating with someone that has the S gene, someone that is a carrier as well. So I feel like more awareness should be given. SS and SS is a no, AS and AS is a no. And I know sometimes it's not completely black and white where, you're already in a relationship and you're already emotionally involved and then you find out that you're both AS. No, I know there are peculiar situations like that, but I feel like as a society, the effort on creating more awareness on the dangers of, procreating and birthing, SS babies. A lot of babies. According to my last reading, 150 babies are born with sickle cell in Nigeria alone yearly, and that number is so high. And a lot of them do not even make it to age 5 because of lack of access to healthcare and proper management. There are babies that are with sickle cell in remote villages that we don't even know about. They just keep falling sick till they die, and no one knows that this was the cause of death. So I feel like in this part of the world, the awareness, we still need to do a lot more, especially the grassroots and rural levels on education.
All right. We seem to have lost Precious. That's a very important conversation that we need to have. Thank you very much, Precious, for joining us. In 20 seconds, Imabong, if you're there, what is one message you want to pass across today as we celebrate World Sickle Cell Day here on Breakfast Central? Do we still have Imabong?
Yes.
All right, in 20 seconds, please. What's one message you want to pass across?
The message I would like to pass across is that, warriors are stronger than people think that we are, and people should stop the stigmatization about warriors, especially in the workplace, especially when it comes to marriage and having kids and all of that. Society needs to be kinder and be more knowledgeable. And like Precious has said, please get tested, know your genotype, before you get into any relationship and you start catching feelings and then you start having all these black and white issues that cannot be sorted out. Know your genotype and let's reduce the number of babies being born with sickle cell, because the way it's going, it's becoming a pandemic. The only difference is that sickle cell is not communicable, so you can't catch it. But if the children are the future of tomorrow, and we're having so many children being born with sickle cell already, and Nigeria is the highest country already in the world, then what's our future going to be like, So we need to be careful and we need to pay more attention to sickle cell and the happenings, and curbing, more children being born with sickle cell, basically.
All right. Thank you very much, Imabong.
Yes, absolutely. And I completely love the T-shirt you're putting on this morning. You are definitely the warrior that you say you are. Same thing to Precious. Thank you both for joining us, and we wish you a really, really great day ahead.
And we hope that Precious is discharged, very soon.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hopefully.
I hope so too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much both for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.